The year was 1883 and the German Empire was newly unified. Marx's Communist Manifesto had been released 35 years prior, and the desire for socialism had been running rampant through German society. The socialists eventually came to power and passed the world's first universal healthcare system. Except that's not what happened. Otto von Bismarck was the chancellor and he hated socialists. In fact, he passed the anti-socialist law of 1878, which banned socialist meetings and newspapers. But at the time, politics were turbulent in the new German state, and there had recently been a bloody socialist uprising in nearby France. The socialists' message was resonating with Germany's rapidly growing working class. So Bismarck, a conservative by all accounts, beat the socialists at their own game and created the world's first universal healthcare system. German emigration to the United States decreased drastically, and its economy experienced steady growth. Last year, a poll by The Hill showed that nearly 50% of Republicans supported a single-payer healthcare system. Many people wonder why Democrats haven't pushed harder for Medicare for all, but I think the better question is, why haven't Republicans?
Every year, millions of workers wake up in the morning and their employer has changed the insurance that they have. Maybe they like the doctors. People are nodding their heads. Okay, so this is not new. Every year. Now, what we're talking about actually is stability. That when you have a Medicare for all, it is there now and will be there in the future.
Senator, let me ask you a question about...
Why do you think that Bernie Sanders got a standing ovation from a Fox News town hall for Medicare for all? First, we must look at exactly how the health insurance business works. Tucker Carlson actually puts it quite succinctly.
Insurance is a bet, right? That you'll pay more to them than they will pay you in the end, right? It's based on a wager that they make. That's what insurance is.
As Tucker says, private health insurance companies are glorified gamblers. They are betting that the average person will pay them more than they ever need in return. They carefully calculate risks to determine premiums and deductibles, and like a casino, they always win. Because they are middlemen, they don't add anything to the actual quality of medical care.
Yeah, you understand that?
Now you're speaking my language.
A common notion from the right is that single-payer healthcare is socialized medicine. It is not. This is because it deals with the payer, not the provider. Doctors and hospitals would still compete for customers, but they would compete by quality as opposed to health insurance reimbursements. What is not competitive is Medicare Part D, which forbids Medicare from negotiating drug prices. The Congressman Billy Towson, who was the one who pushed that bill through the House, took a $2 million a year job with a pharmaceutical lobbyist shortly after leaving Congress.
Just have some of this fine pie my missus made specially for you. What do you think about that?
Another common concern is that single-payer healthcare could cause people to lose their doctors and coverage for many important things. The irony behind this is that many people are already losing their coverage when they lose their jobs, or when their jobs change insurance plans. Also, many private insurance plans don't cover everything, as the priority of private insurance is to protect profits as opposed to providing wide-ranging care.
You got an HMO, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's your answer. I mean, HMOs pay their doctors not to test. That's their way of keeping costs down. Now, let's say Mike did need additional testing, and insurance says they won't cover them. The doctor keeps his mouth shut, and come Christmas, the HMO sends the doctor a fat-ass bonus check.
Is that true?
Possible.
It's often brought up that places like Canada and the UK have long wait times due to their single-payer healthcare. It should be noted that the wait times mentioned are referring to elective surgeries, as doctors aren't laughing maniacally after giving a 3-month wait time for brain surgery. Even with this being said, it's not conclusive how much worse these wait times actually are. It's also important to note that while Canada and the UK both have single-payer healthcare, they are different models of single-payer. Canada, like Taiwan and South Korea, has a national health insurance, but has both public and private providers. The UK, like the Nordic countries, has a national health insurance, and the vast majority of healthcare providers are public. Countries such as Australia, Israel, Japan, and Germany have universal healthcare with hybrid payment models, and the majority of health spending is public, in addition to a heavily regulated private sector. In each of these cases, healthcare is generally free at the point of access, and none of these countries are like the US, where medical bills frequently put people into crippling debt.
Inside there, we got surgery, we got outpatient surgery, and we got out-of-luck surgery. There's a lot of people out there, Tuck. A lot of people here who don't got 250 grand in their billfold. To shame a man like that and back him into a corner. Seems to me that something is out of whack, not someone. But hey, what do I know? I'm a factory worker.
On the topic of other countries, the United States spends far more on healthcare than any other nation in the world, no matter which way you look at the numbers. What's interesting is that the public spending is on par with many other developed countries, but the private spending is what sends the costs into orbit. A 2020 study by Yale epidemiologists found that Medicare for All would reduce U.S. healthcare spending by roughly $450 billion each year. Another study from Amherst estimated that Medicare for All would save nearly $5 trillion over 10 years. Even a study funded by the Koch brothers, who are major conservative donors, suggested that Medicare for All would save $2 trillion over 10 years. So why would it save so much money? A big reason is the administrative bloat. Insurance companies have massive payrolls as they deal with negotiations, claims review, marketing, and shareholder returns. Every commercial that you see is being paid for by the money that customers pay for healthcare. This money is also going towards major profits, as United Healthcare's stock price is up almost 200% over the past 5 years. Under a Medicare for All system, this entire administrative and profit layer would be stripped away.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of much better than they're taken care of now.
The uninsured person
right.
is going to be taken care of.
They're going to be taken care of.
How?
I would make a deal with existing hospitals to take care of people. And you know what? This is probably...
Make a deal. Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side.
As mentioned earlier, Medicare Part D restricts the government from negotiating drug prices. A Medicare for All system would have more leverage with the drug industry because it could bargain for the entire country at once. Some studies estimate that drug prices could be cut by nearly a third.
An inhaler.
$100.
Yeah, you're pretty close, a bit more.
120.
250 to 350.
For an inhaler?
Yes.
Man.
Medicare generally pays the provider much less than private insurance, so a Medicare for All type system could cut costs here as well. However, it's a tricky balance because if prices drop too low, hospitals could go out of business. It shouldn't be underestimated how much public spending for healthcare already exists. Many times pharmaceutical companies will get credit for medical innovations, but the work of the National Institute of Health has led to many of the advancements that have allowed pharmaceutical companies to be successful. In 2019, the NIH was ranked number 2 in the world for biomedical sciences. It's often said that the free market will lead to the cheapest and most efficient outcomes, but many times that is not actually the case. When trains were first being developed in the 1800s, the train lines were all privately owned, and these companies all used different sized tracks so their competitors couldn't connect their lines. This resulted in a wildly inefficient and expensive train system until the government standardized the track sizes and built the Transcontinental Railroad.
We in America do not have a free market healthcare system. We have a complete jumble, a kludgy mess of, at a bare minimum, 4, maybe even 5 different healthcare systems. Every single one of them is underwritten by government. Every single one of them is wildly expensive and wasteful. So the question is, if you are a conservative, you want to move in a more sensible, market-oriented, rational direction, you need to acknowledge that you have to have a backstop.
Speaking of competitiveness, a Medicare for All type system could potentially save businesses lots of money. On average, businesses spend between $7,000 and $20,000 for health insurance premiums for their employees. While a Medicare for All type proposal could include some sort of payroll tax, businesses would end up saving lots of money. This would make domestic businesses much more competitive with foreign counterparts, and also this money can be repurposed for R&D. Because businesses would no longer be on the hook to provide health insurance, a solid portion of these savings would probably go back to the employees in significant pay raises. While Medicare for All would require a tax increase, all estimates indicate that this increase would be offset with higher wages. More money in the hands of the people would stimulate the economy, helping local businesses.
Jack, for your birthday, we thought we'd roll out a once-in-a-lifetime business opportunity.
Health insurance is a major barrier for aspiring entrepreneurs. Anyone looking to build a startup will have to buy their own health insurance instead of having it provided by a company. This will set them back hundreds of dollars per month, not to mention a high deductible and the chance that the insurance would not cover everything that they need. With a Medicare for All type plan, entrepreneurs would have a health insurance safety net and would have much more money and peace of mind while trying to get their company off the ground. If a Medicare for All type system is so good, then why isn't there more support for it? Some of this, I suppose, has to do with branding and fear of the socialist label. It's also worth noting that the top two spenders on lobbying each year are the pharmaceutical industry and the insurance industry. The hospital industry makes the number 8 spot. If Medicare for All were to be implemented, insurance companies in particular would lose out on a lot of money. But one must ask, does our complex system of private insurance enhance the quality of healthcare? Or are they just a gatekeeper that shakes down the working class? Republican strategists, if you find this video and decide to campaign on Medicare for All in 2024, you can make your check out to the Zeitgeist Media. It's been a pleasure doing business with you. That's the Zeitgeist, guys. I'm really curious to see how both the right and the left respond to this segment. So I'm excited to see you guys in the comments. If you guys enjoy my content, make sure to like, comment, or subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all in the next one.